this morning. I want to be talking briefly this morning about something I believe the Lord dealt with me about this week. And it's been hard because as a pastor, and especially as a student of the Word, and partially I can say that I've learned some things. When I read, I like to really get into the Word and dig deep into the Scriptures to see what is it really saying. Sometimes I want to find the purpose behind the story that might be highlighting for us, because I know in every story it's just not written. I think everything is written in this Bible that God is trying to bring meaning to our lives, to each one of us. There's something in the story that probably hits us somewhere in some parts of our lives. And it don't always have to be negative. Sometimes it can be positive. But I really believe that when you read these stories, there's things that Jesus is trying to say to all of us. What he was saying back then, I really believe he's saying today. But we just have to dig deep into the text to see what is it, what thought-provoking, what he's provoking inside of us to say to you. And so this morning I want to read, and may read a little extensive, so bear with me. My reading skills are getting very, very good based on my sight. So just stay with me. So as I read, don't try to extract nothing from it. Just stay with me until I come back to my points. Is that good with you all? Father, we thank you and we praise you for this opportunity to share one more time in your house to your people. And we thank you they would have ears to hear, but the Spirit will say to them. And we ask that in Jesus' name we pray. Amen and amen. Now, after these things, Jesus showed himself again to the disciples at the Sea of Tiberias. And in this wise showed he himself. And there were together Simon Peter, Thomas called Didymus, and Nathanael of Canaan in Galilee, and the sons of Zebedee, and the two others of his disciples. Simon Peter said unto them, I go a-fishing. They said unto him, we also go with thee, Simon. And they went forward and entered into a ship immediately. And that night they caught nothing. But when the morning was now come, Jesus stood on the shore. But the disciples knew not that it was Jesus. Then Jesus said unto them, Children, have you any meat? They answered him, No. And he said unto them, Cast the net on the right side of the ship, and you shall find. And they cast therefore, and now they was not able to draw it for the multitude of fishes. Verse 7. Verse 7. And therefore that disciple who Jesus loved said unto Peter, It is the Lord. Now when Simon Peter heard that it was the Lord, he girded his fisherman coat unto him, for he was naked, and did cast himself into the sea. And the other disciples came in a little ship, for they were not far from land, but as it were 200 cubits, dragging the net with fishes. And as soon then as they were come to land, they saw a fire of coals there, fish laid thereon and bread. Jesus said unto them, Bring up the fish which you have now caught. Simon Peter went up and drew the net to land full of great fishes, 153. And for all there were so many, yet were not the net broken. And Jesus said unto them, Come and dine. And none of the disciples thus asked him, Who art thou? Knowing that it was the Lord. the next few minutes, I want to preach a message on come have breakfast with me.
All right. All right.
As I read this and I studied this and I looked at all of the things that had transpired within the parameters of the story, I saw some things that I thought was very important for us as the body of Christ. Jesus is especially a great technician on trying to help develop people to become great at everything. Doesn't matter what you do, God wants you to be the greatest. Doesn't matter what you wind up doing, doesn't mean that you can't do better. And so here we see Jesus tell them, come and have breakfast with me. And as one writer puts it this way, he says, come have breakfast with me. And he said the time is breakfast time because they had been fishing all night. And so when he saw them, he had already decided that he would fix breakfast. Yeah. Lord, wouldn't I wish I had somebody to fix my breakfast.
Lord have mercy.
And as I pondered the story about the breakfast, I thought about us. Our breakfast wouldn't be fish and bread.
All right.
But then as I studied the word breakfast, it's not really so much of what you eat, it's when you eat. Breakfast is really a time when you have fasted and you decide that you're going to eat. You're only breaking a fast. They had been up all night fishing, so apparently they didn't have time to eat. So Jesus knew that they had been fishing. He knew that they hadn't caught anything because he knew everything. And you'll see it in the text. But when he saw them, one of the things that he tells them, I need you to come and just sit. I want you to eat breakfast with me. In other words, he says, take a break. It depicts the Lord knowing what they need. So the Lord knew that they had been working. He knew they was tired. He knew that their strength had been depleted. He knew that they was feeling discouraged, down. You ever just felt down and discouraged because things just wasn't working out? You ever just been in that place where you worked hard, and at the end of the week, it looked like it just did not pay off? And one of the things I want to encourage you on this morning is, regardless of what's going on in your life and what's not coming up to what you think the par is, the bar is, I want you to understand this, that God sees and he knows. And just because things are not working at that moment doesn't mean it can't work. The problem with most of us is when we get in a lane and things don't work our way, we look for another lane to make it work. And one of the things that we see in this story, that Jesus, as he noticed them, Peter decides he go fishing. And I want to sort of give you a little background because this is after, all of this is taking place after Jesus had been crucified. Prior, before his crucifixion, the last time Peter was mentioned, we noticed Peter was denying Jesus. Now, and what I want to briefly deal with this morning is, how do you deal with people who have denied you in a time when you needed them the most?
Come on.
Because now Peter realizes what had took place in his life, and so he had denied the Christ. And then at this point, he meets him no more until after he has ascended to his Father. If you read John 18, I think from there to 21, you'll see that on that first day after he had risen, Mary goes to the tomb and she looks with such with such feeling of brokenness because she wanted to get the body of Jesus, but when she went into the tomb, he wasn't there. And she wanted to know what happened to him because she wanted to go and make sure that they give him a proper burial. And when she looked in there, he wasn't there. And when she looked around, she thought it was a man there that was really working in the graveyard. And he looked, and she looked with such pain. And he said, woman, it's me. And then she realized that the Jesus that she seek, he's no longer dead. But his words come alive now when he said, they will destroy me, but I will raise myself up in 3 days. So he's in the tomb, he's talked to her, she reached for him, but for some reason or another, he tells her, don't touch me, because I have not ascended to my Father. Yeah. And so he descends and he ascended to my Father. He ascends and then he leaves and she goes and tells them that Jesus has risen from the grave. And the Bible said when she told them, John and Peter takes off to running. Now the scripture says that John outran Peter. But when John gets to the grave, the tomb, he only looks in. But for some reason or another, Peter goes in. All right. Now I'm going somewhere because sometime when you've done the most, you've done things that you know that you shouldn't have done, you look for ways to try to appease it. So Peter looks in and he sees it, he's gone. And so they was all had went into this room and they was in there not because they were so worried about Jesus, but they feared for their lives because they know the Jews was getting ready to kill him too. And Jesus walked into the door as though that he didn't ask any question. He walks in and he looks at his disciples and they see him in such awe and they realize it was the Lord. And after he speaks to them for a certain length of time, he leaves. But Thomas was not with them. So the second time he shows up into this room, Thomas happened to be there. And the Bible said when he walked in, he said, Thomas, put your hand. It's amazing how God always knows what we talk about. He said, Thomas, reach over here and put your hands in these holes that you wanted to know whether or not it's me. So Thomas reached in, he touches him, he feels the holes, then he went in on. And he says, blessed are those that don't have to see and believe. He said, Thomas, now you believe because you was able to touch these holes. But what about those that won't touch me? What about those that can't see me? And I just want to know that if you can't see him and you can't touch him, I just want you to know you can still be blessed, though. In other words, there may be people have some close encounters and you may not have one, but can you believe one? Because sometimes you talk to people, they have these close encounters and they have these deep revelations and they get into these spiritual things that God revealed himself to them. And I'm not knocking it, but you may not have that. But it doesn't mean that your faith is any less than the person that saw all of that. Jesus didn't rebuke it. He just said, Thomas, you only believe because you was able to touch it. But there are some people believe and they don't touch it. And so this was the second time that he came to the disciples. But on the third time, he get ready to come to his disciples. And by this time, Peter, for some reason or another, gets in his heart that he go fishing. Look at somebody say, go fishing. So Peter goes to fishing, and I believe because Peter made the statement that he go fishing, I believe that it's sort of connected to Jesus. And Jesus says, so since Peter want to fish and I'm looking for him, I'll go too. And I don't really believe where you go. I don't believe you can get outside of God's plan for him. I don't believe your life can get so far that God can't come where you are. The problem is you just got to be able to accept the fact that sometimes God knows when the divine time is important. Sometimes God will let things go for a long time, but when you get ready to move into your life and your space, there's nothing you can do about it. And so Peter goes a fishing, and when Peter said, let's go fishing, it seemed like everybody else decided they want to go too. So sure enough, when Peter said, let's go fishing, the Bible said that the rest of them said, we go with y'all. And so as I read this, I began to look at some things that I saw here that I thought was interesting. So as they fished, they went fishing that night, and they had fished and fished and fished. And so it was near morning. And by morning come, Jesus, when the morning was now came, Jesus stood on the shore. Somebody said Jesus was always watching them. Don't ever think God is not watching. Don't ever think that God is not thinking about what's going on in your life. He sees everything. He knows everything. He's omniscient. He's omnipotent. He's omnipresent. That means that wherever you are, he's there. So they happen to, on the third time, Jesus shows up at the lake of Tiberias. So they out fishing. They didn't catch anything. Jesus happened to be standing on the bank. And this is sort of was puzzling to me, because after catching nothing, he looks at them and he makes a statement. And he said unto them, children, he says, have you any meat? And they answered, said, Lord, we don't have nothing. In other words, we haven't caught anything. We tried, but it just wasn't nothing biting. And Jesus looked at them, and this is strange to me, Minister Hudson, because the scripture specifically says they didn't know it was him. But all at once, he tells them to cast your net to the right side. And that bothered me, because I'm saying, if you don't know it's him, why are you taking all this? Why are you listening to a man you don't know anything about? And when they took the nets and they threw it to the right side, didn't know, not knowing it was the Lord, the Bible said that when they cast the net to the right side, that's what he said, and you shall find. And they cast therefore, and now they were not able to draw it for the multitude of fish. Now here they're listening to a man that they have no idea who he is. And that tells me something. Sometimes things can happen in your life not because you're living right, not because you understand who's talking to you, but God's word is God's words. And if you act on it, doesn't matter whether you know it's him or not. But if you just act upon the word, if you just do what the word say, the word will prove itself. And so the Bible said they caught a multitude of fish. Therefore that disciple who Jesus loved said unto Peter, said, Peter, the one that speak to you, it is the Lord. Now remember, this is the same Peter that the last time Jesus had saw him, which was on the first two encounters after the resurrection, he hadn't talked to him since. But he never dealt with the issue where Peter had denied him. And so now he looks at this situation, and Peter here, it was Jesus. And the Bible said when he found out it was Jesus, he girded his fishing coat unto him, for he was naked. Now he wasn't naked, but the way the jackets that they wore, he didn't have anything on his coat. And so they didn't want to wet up their good clothes, so they would put this jacket around him, but he didn't have it girded about him. So when he knew it was Jesus, he tied it, and the Bible said he did cast himself into the sea, not because it was Jesus, but because he knew who he is now. Now he's trying to get to him. But you was the one denied him. Remember, you was the one that didn't really hang in there at the end. But it didn't mean you didn't love him. Sometimes you can do some crazy stuff, but it don't mean you don't love God. And a lot of times we give up on God because we do crazy stuff. Well, nobody could have done no more crazy stuff than Peter did. But when he knew it was Jesus, he cast himself into the sea. And it's normally that when they are bringing the boats in, somebody would jump out and direct the boat to the bank. So Peter was the first one to do it. Verse 8. And the other disciples came in the little ship, for they was not far from land, but as it were 200 cubits, dragging the net with fish. Bring God good. Can he make something happen out of nothing? I say, can God take your nothing and make something out of it? So even though they hadn't caught anything, but when they took a word from him, they caught everything. Sometimes we can be working hard and nothing is not working. But if you could just incorporate him into your life, incorporate him into what you're doing, and even though you may not know him like the next person, but if you're willing to take his word, take him at his word, watch his word do what it says. And a lot of times we don't do everything right. We feel like ain't nothing gonna work, but I come to tell you that ain't true. Keep going for me. And as soon then as they were come to land, they saw a fire coals there and fish laid thereon and bread. Verse 10, and Jesus said unto them, and this is strange to me, because now they catch the fish, Jesus tell them to bring what they caught. He said, bring of the fish which you have now caught. Keep reading. And Simon Peter went up and drew the net to land full of great fishes, and 153. Now, I don't know what that means symbolically, but it had to mean something for them to write it in the text. And for all there were so many, yet were not the net broken. That means God can give you an overabundant supply. I say God can give you an overabundant supply, even though you really don't know him like you ought to know him. Even though you may be having some problems with knowing who he is, but he don't have no problem knowing who you are. In other words, Peter, you might not know me, but I know you. You may not have a clue as me, but I know who I'm talking to. I know who I'm looking for. I know why I'm down here. I didn't just come to be at this lake, but I'm looking for something specifically. See, when your time come, ain't nothing the devil can do about it. I said, when your time come, ain't nothing you done in your past God can't wipe away. When your time come, there's nothing in your life God can't forgive. When your time come, it ain't nothing in your life that God want to hold against you. He maybe want to do things for you, but he ain't trying to do nothing against you. But every once in a while, he got to check your temperature. Keep reading. And Jesus said unto them, come and eat with me. And none of the disciples would ask the question, who thou art, knowing it was him. Now, after John tells them it's Jesus, they gets to breakfast and everybody eating and nobody asks nothing. Not meaning that they didn't want to ask. They wanted to ask, but they know not to ask. It's something about God when he encountered you. It's something about all of the questions you thought you had. You thought you would ask them. When you get in this presence, you won't ask them. Some people say, when I get there, I'm going to ask them about this. I don't think you will. Sometimes I believe when we get there, we're going to be just glad we got there. Some of us might get in, but we just want to know I made it in. I ain't worrying about all about this, that, mama, daddy, who was there, who wasn't there. I just want to look at them and say, oh, Lord, thank you. I made it in. Look at somebody and say, I just want to be thankful that God seen fit to bring me in. Because, you know, for a long time we've been out. But today I come to tell you, I don't care how long you've been out, God getting ready to bring you back in. I come to tell you this morning, I don't know what's been going on in your life, but God ain't through with you yet. I come to tell you, I don't know how hard you've been working, but I come to tell you, it's a breakthrough about to come. And I ain't talking about breaking your nets. I'm talking about something greater than breaking a net. I'm talking about people that's been waiting on God to deliver them from stuff. I'm talking about people that been believing God that he's going to meet their financial needs. I'm talking about somebody that's been praying and asking God to help me as I go on my mighty way. I'm talking to somebody that's been going through some stuff lately and they don't know that they're going to come out of it. I'm talking about somebody that might have got a bad report from the doctor and the doctor say you ain't going to live. But I come to tell you, if God be on your side, then who can stop you? Who can be against you? If God is the one that's calling you, then who can I call you? Who can be louder than the voice of God in you? Oh, I feel it this morning. If I were you this morning, I'd give God a high five because he ain't through with me yet. I know a lot of people done counted you out. I know a lot of people looking at you and saying you ain't going to be this and you ain't going to be that. I know a lot of people doubting you, but don't ever doubt the Lord. Let the doubters and the haters and the naysayers, you ain't going to make it. But I come to tell you, somebody's standing on the seashore waiting on you just to show up. After all you done done, after all your praying and your crying, after all the losing and you didn't know if you going to make it, I come to tell you today that God getting ready to bring you to another level. He getting ready to open some windows that everybody else closed, open some doors that everybody else say you couldn't go through, give you a job that everybody else say you didn't deserve. I know you done put in application after application and they done turned you down, but I come to tell you, let them keep turning you down because I got a God that'll tell you, cast your nets out and get ready because God getting ready ready to do something. I don't know about you today, but if I was you, I'd just shake it off. Let them say what they want, but you shake it off. Let them talk about you, but you shake it off. Let them put you down, but you keep getting up. Let them keep saying all kind of evil about you, but you keep blessing them that curse you. You keep loving them that come against you. I don't care how much they fight you. You just keep loving God, because God got a plan, and ain't nothing nobody can do about it. Because when he get ready, he'll show up and show out when he come. I come to tell you today, he ain't against you, but he's on your side. Look at somebody and say, God be with me today. He is my shepherd, and I shall not want. He getting ready to do something for me. I know it, I feel it, I smell it, I can taste that God is getting ready to do something for me. I've been out here too long. I've been doing it too long. I've been walking with him too long. I've had some good days. I had some bad days. But today is the day that the Lord have made. And I come to rejoice. I come to tell somebody that it's all right. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, it's all right. It's going to be all right. I ain't caught nothing. I've been out there all night long. But it's all right. But God, he'll do everything but let you fail. I say, but God, he'll do everything but let you fail. I say, look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, he won't let you fail. I say, he won't let you fail. I say, yeah, Lord. Go my next verse, I can't stay too long. And then Jesus cometh. You see one thing about God, I say, you might do wrong, but he don't do what you do. You may deny him when he really needs you. But one thing about God, if he got any remembrance, he won't remember you wrong. All he can remember is his right. He came in that situation. He said, come on, boys. He said, but bring your fish with you. Pile them up over there. Because I want you to know, today it ain't your day. Today is my day. Today is for me to show you how God, what kind of God I am. I know what you did, Peter, but I ain't come to tell you about all of that. I come to tell you, Peter, what you done the years ago. I'm going to bless you today. What you done back there ain't got nothing to do with up here. Look at somebody say that was back there, but up here, that's where God getting ready to change some stuff. Now I want to hit you with this before I go any further. The Bible said it was Peter, it was Thomas, it was Nathaniel, it was the sons of Zebedee, and it was two other disciples. And I say, God, what that got to do with it? He said, I want you to understand I work in numbers. I said, what you trying to tell me? He said, he had 7 disciples upon that bank. And when the number 7 is present, that means that completeness is on the way. Oh, somebody ought to preach with me for a few minutes. It wasn't just 7 disciples. It was 7 number 7. That means that God was in the midst of it all the time. Peter didn't want to just go fishing. God put it in his heart to go fishing, because when God want to do something, he'll move on the inside of you. He'll walk you to the river. He'll walk you somewhere. He'll take you somewhere you didn't think about going. And so the 7 disciples on the boat ain't catching nothing. If 7 mean completion, why they ain't caught nothing? I'm trying to shake myself up on this story. And it was 7 disciples. They fished all night. Ain't caught a thing. But I come to tell you, just because you don't catch it, don't mean you ain't got it. Look at somebody and say, you might not catch it, but you don't mean you ain't got it. But see, God, what he want to do, Linda, he wants you to run out of your resources. He wants you to run out of your know-how. He wants you to get to a place that you don't trust yourself any longer. He wants you to realize when it all said and done, you didn't do it, but the Lord done it. When somebody say, what happened? All I can say, it's the goodness of the Lord who brought me this far. I couldn't do it by myself. I was sick in my bed. I was on my back. I could not get up. I was about to lose my mind, but God, He knows how to pick me up. He knows how to wake me up. He knows how to come at the right time. Shout right time, right time, right time, right time. He came at the right time of your life. So God told me 7 people on the boat. They didn't catch anything. He said, but what I want to do for them, I don't want them to catch nothing. He said, because the fish was already there. I said, well, God, the fish already, why they ain't catching none? He said, because I fixed it that the fish would be on my side, not their side. See, sometimes God will put things on the other side of your own working, of the other side of your own efforts. They had been pushing all night and they was fishing on the left side. But he said, cast your nets to the right side. And the right side of God is God's authority. Anytime you're on the right side, anytime somebody with you, be careful what side you walk with them on. Because if they're on your right side, you saying that everything about these people, they are all right with you. That means that you're in agreement with them. Can I shake somebody's hand and say, watch what side you put them on? Because if they're on your right side and they're your enemy, they might take you down. But put them on the left side and keep God on the right side. Because if he's on your right side, when your left ain't working, your right side will speak for you. When the left ain't working, your right side will speak for you. So he cast the net, cast it to the right side. So I said, well, God, all this don't make no sense to me. He said, me either. Then Jesus cometh, and he take bread. Somebody say, take bread. Now I want to give you something. I'm going home because I ain't got nothing else to do. Somebody say, take bread. Now the word bread, it actually, it could mean that who I'm speaking with, who I'm dealing with is my familiar friends. When you eat bread with folk, it don't just mean you're eating bread with them. It means it could be somebody I'm familiar with. Bread is a source of, it speaks volume to certain things. To eat bread of someone means to be supported by someone. And Jesus says, listen, everything that's been going on in your life, everything that's been on in your life, you did it. And the reason I can't get the glory because you're in the way. All right. It's not that you couldn't catch fish. I didn't want you to catch fish because I need you to trust me to catch. I want you to trust me now. Because when things are not working, you don't have to leave disappointed next time. You see, they was already tired because they've been toiling all night. But what I'm trying to tell you is that when you do it his way, it don't mean that you're going to be less effort, but at least you have to work, but it will see some results in it. Bread and fish is also a reminder of his power. You remember the 2 fish and 5 loaves? It was only 2 fish and 5 loaves, and it fed the multitude. So Jesus brought them the very thing that he knew that they needed, bread and fish. And he gave it to them likewise. He handed to each one of them. And I want to get to this now. Now, this is the 3rd time Jesus showed himself to his disciples. After that, he was risen from the dead. Jesus, he wants to control the narrative. Somebody say control the narrative. He wanted to control it. So he confronts in the situation. There's some things that he wanted to deal with. And what he want to deal with, because see, God don't just deal with your life based upon the little situation you're in. He's dealing with your life based on where he's taking you. And sometimes we get a little frustrated with God because you're trying to figure out why God is doing it this way, because he see the long-term plan and you see what you see right in front of you. Yeah. And what he has to do now is deal with who he's getting ready to use. So now the first 2 encounters, he didn't deal with the situation, but after he gets them at a meal, and after he showed them his power, after he showed them that he still is able to make things happen for them, now he eats and they all full. Yeah. Look at somebody, say everybody full now. Everybody's sitting back, laying back, chilling. Now you got to understand that this is not a meal at a table. All right. In other words, when you eat, most of the time you're going to eat probably at a table or sitting in a chair. But most of the time when they ate, they laid on the ground. And while they was eating, they had a tendency to lean up on one another. And see, Peter was inside of this environment or this culture, and some things agitated Peter more than it did the rest of them. And so Peter, he remembered a little while back when Jesus had told him that Peter, you would but deny me. And he said, no, Lord, I will never deny you. He said, Peter, before the cock crow 3 times, you will deny me. And if you read it from Luke's perspective, the Bible says when Peter had went into that place, he denied him. And then when the woman seen him, and he swore it wasn't him. And then the man came out and he said, yeah, I know you was him. And the Bible said Peter started to use a funny language that they don't use to lose. And I don't want to use them languages, but Peter started cussing. And even though you might have cussed because you were waiting on God, don't mean he can't do nothing for you. Now, I thought God was going to deal with Peter about his cussing. And see, sometimes our problem is you're worrying about some of the things you've done God ain't worrying about because he know you was cussing before he called you. Somebody say he know you was cussing before he called you. You just got a little better at holding it back at church instead of at home. A whole lot of us do a lot of things at home we don't do here. So now he confronts, now it's time to confront the real reason for his display of power. So everything you saw Jesus do, he was doing it because he was getting ready to deal with a real issue that he wanted to deal with because he realized that what he needed from this man he's finna talk to, he needed to make him understand that I don't have time for you to be denying me anymore. So I need to check you out a little bit before I send you on your next journey. So verse 15. So when they had got through eating, somebody say got through having breakfast, Jesus said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of Jonah, lovest thou me more than these? Now, preachers, I need your help here because this can be 2 things for a preacher. He either was talking about his disciples here, or he was talking about the fish.
Okay.
Because he asked them to bring the catch with him, but he never used the catch to cook.
That's right.
So what I believe he was asking Peter is, because this is your trade.
Yeah.
And this is what makes you happy, Peter. This is what you love the most, Peter. I believe because of the day you've caught enough fish to last your family for a year. In other words, 153 fish is a lot of fish for a fisherman. Now it's amazing how a carpenter can speak into a fisherman's life. Don't let nobody tell me what nobody can't do. I'm sick of folk telling me what I can't tell you because I ain't never done something. But I come to tell you I might not never done it, but I got a God that know how to do what you think you only want to know how to good at. So do you love thou me more than these? So the question I had to deal with, who is he talking about when he say these? Because the writer's not specific. I know the fish is there. I know the disciples is there. So is he making reference to the disciples, or are you making reference to the fish? Based upon Peter's trade and the amount of fish that he caught, and his joy for catching that much fish, I realized Peter now beginning to really lock in. He's a good fisherman. So Jesus is challenging Peter, say, you're making money now. I want to know whether or not the money you're making and the fish you're catching, do you love me more than all of that? Because some of us are making plenty of money now, and we done got to the point that our money is become to be our focus more than our God. So he said, do you love me more than, what's this, love thou me more than these? These. Now he compared out of the disciples of the fish with himself. In other words, he wanted to know in comparison. If I had to get your opinion, Peter, give me your answer on your love for me versus this here. And Peter, because of his strong willingness to always be right about stuff, Peter answered him and says, Lord, What verse I'm on? 15? Okay, yeah. So when they had dined, Jesus said to Simon Peter, son of Jonah, lovest thou me more than these? And then he went on to say, he said unto him, yea, Lord, thou knowest that I love thee. And he said unto thee, feed my lamb.
All right.
Now, I don't want to get too technical here because the Greeks had words that you and I don't use. Mm-hmm. Now, Jesus asked Peter, did he agape him?
All right.
Peter answered Jesus, but he did not use the same word. Mm-hmm. Jesus asked Peter, do you have a love for me that is willing to go all the way?
All right.
Not based on condition. Do you have a love for me that is sacrificial? In other words, he was trying to get Peter to figure out what kind of love you have for me. Because it's going to be important, Peter, how much I can use you now.
Yeah.
Because if your love is limited, come on. Because what I'm asking you, how deep your love is, how wide it is. In other words, do your love have boundaries? He said, Peter, do thou lovest me more than these? When he looked at all of this and comparing with when I look at the fish and I watch your joy in catching fish and I watch your joy with people, I want to ask you a question. Do you have that joy with me? In other words, do you give up for God what you give up for others? Would you give up for God what you gave up for your spouse? Would you give up for God what you give up for your job? Will you give God 16 hours a day? Or will you only give it to your job because your job is giving you blessings? He's dealing with Peter on another level here. Many of us will give up a lot of stuff, but when it comes to God, I can't give him a Wednesday night Bible study because I'm too tired. But when it comes to my job, I can give him 16 hours a day because I know it's going to pay my bill. But when it don't pay your bill, look at who you got to call upon. You can call your job after 24 hours because you're too tired. But you can call on your God. Oh, somebody better preach with me here. He said, Peter, I just want to know. Because when you was afraid and you thought the Jews would kill you, fish came to your mind. You fished all night, didn't catch nothing. Now you done caught fish. My question is, since you so beneficial in your ability to catch them, I want to know how much you love me, boy. So I'm testing him. He tested him to see if there's something in Peter that can cause him to walk away from him. So Peter said, do you love me? Lovest thou me more than these? In other words, can you agape me in a way that these things here won't be a problem later?
All right. All right.
Don't let it get quiet on me right now. Then Peter looked at him and he said, Lord, yea, Lord, thou knowest that I love thee. Now when Peter responded, he did not respond with the same word Jesus responded with. He had the question that he had. Peter said, Lord, you know that I philo you.
Come on.
You know that I have a strong affection for you.
Yeah.
You know that I have an agreement, a mutual connection to you. He said, I'm not asking you that. He said, but I want to know, is your love subjective or is objective? In other words, I want to know what can make you leave me, Peter. I want to know, Peter, do you really understand that when the heat comes, can you handle it? I want to know when folk talk about you, can you stay in there? I want to know when they get ready to put you on the cross, Peter, will you walk away? Because last time, you remember that they had me in the room and you denied me. What you going to do when they have you in the room? If you denied me when they had me in the room,
All right.
what you going to do when they put you up in this room? And if you had problems when they came against your pastor, then what you gonna do when they come against you then?
All right.
So he was asking some deep questions here. So Peter answered the question. He said, well, so Peter, do you love me? Do you agape me? Are you willing to give it all up? Are you willing to walk away from some stuff, Peter? He said, Lord, you know I'll do it. I'll do whatever is convenient. As long as it don't mess with my money. As long as it don't mess with my trade, as long as it don't pull me from what I want, we good to go.
Yeah, yeah.
Then he said, well, feed my lamb. So when I said, feed the lamb, actually mean, he said, deal with the young ones right now. Peter, you ain't ready. Get them out, get them out, get them out. And then he goes back at him one more time. He said unto him again the second time, Simon, son of Jonah. Now, watch the second time he asked him a question. He said, lovest thou me? Now he moves the stuff out of his sight. Now he takes everything out of Peter's sight but himself. He said, Peter, do you agape me then? I see your heart for your stuff. I see how you treat your stuff, Peter. I want to ask you a question, Peter. I ain't comparing the stuff now. I'm asking you face to face. Do you love me? What's your level of love for me, Peter? Peter was just listening, trying to figure out, Jesus, why are you doing this? Now, I'm not going to bring all this in because I don't know how true it is, but Peter denied him 3 times, right? So I thank God probing him 3 times too. For every time he denied him, he probed him 3 times to want to know do you love him. Sometimes God got a way of coming and just dealing with your deficiencies. And so the second time he says, do you love me, Peter? He says, Simon Jonah, lovest thou me? Same word, agape. And he said, yea, Lord, thou knowest that I love thee. There you go again. And he said unto him, feed my sheep then. He used another word. He used the same word. He's still talking about a relationship between 2 people that is coming to agreement on a condition base. Jesus is never asking him that. He's asking Peter, do you love me unconditionally? Do you love me to the point of sacrifice? In other words, do you love me at some points that if you have to die for me, would you do it? In other words, if you have to walk away from the job, would you do it? What can you walk away from if God called you? He's asking Peter, what will be the problem with you and I to go further? There's many people say, I want to go further, but I can't walk away from my ideology. Many of us want to go further in God, but the way we think won't let us go there. Because we're in love with our thinking. We're in love with how we think things ought to be. My question is to you, are you willing to deal with everything in your life? Are you willing to deal with those that you know you don't like? Or do you just deal with those that you can stomach? See, when Jesus was dealing with Peter, he wasn't just talking to Peter for the moment, but he was getting Peter prepared for what he was getting ready to go into, a ministry that was going to reach thousands for Jesus. But you cannot be divided in your love when it comes to God.
That's right. That's right.
Because a lot of things that we work for, it's hard to walk away from it. Because we work so hard for it. And we don't know we love it much as we do. And I'm going to tell you why. We've never been challenged to walk away from it. So now he goes back to him the 3rd time. And this bothered me. He said unto him the 3rd time, Simon, son of Jonah, lovest thou me? Now Jesus is listening well. He's listening real well to Peter's answers. So this time, because Peter had some agitation going on, he tricked him. Somebody say he tricked him. Now watch this. Peter was grieved. He was grieved because he said unto him the 3rd time, lovest thou me? What you grieve about if it's true? In other words, what making you angry, Peter? If you really love me like you say, why is it bothering you? He said, now Peter, here's the problem. I asked you twice that you agape me. You answered me twice that you philo me. Did you mean it? I said, did you mean it, Peter? If you really mean it, Peter, then I asked you that the 3rd time, why it made you mad. In other words, the 3rd time he asked him, he said, Peter, do you feel me? In other words, he asked him his answer. If you gave me your answer, why are you angry? Y'all don't hear me. In other words, if this is how you really feel, why are you grieved? He said, Peter, do you feel me, Peter? Do you love me based upon certain things I do for you? Come on. In other words, it seemed like, Peter, you truly been telling me you're good with me as long as I keep telling you to put your net on the right side. But when I don't tell you nothing, it seems like you don't want me. See, sometimes we good as long as we can give a testimony. We good as long as we can get up and tell somebody else how good the Lord is. But when I got to listen to somebody else, I don't want to hear them. See, sometimes I'm sort of messed up with church folk. And I don't mean church folk as a whole. I ain't talking about we here. I'm just talking about people as a whole that go to church. You swear you love people, but then when you see them, you got something negative to say about them. You can't love people and talk about them. You can't love people and always got some old critical spirit. Now, you can have an opinion, but be careful how you judge them. I say you can have an opinion, but be careful how you judge a matter. Because with the measure you meet will be judged back at you. Now, I might have an opinion about something, but I don't have judgment at all. So he said, Peter, you're grieved because you said to me that you love me. You said you filial me. And I just asked you what you kept giving me. Okay? And he said unto him, Lord, now watch this. Thou knowest all things. Now he's mad with God because he knew God knew from day one what kind of love he had. So Peter being grieved because he feel like he being put on the spot. He feel like he's trying to put me on the spot. But that ain't what it's all about, folk. I want to help you because it ain't about that. It really wasn't about whether or not he was trying to show him up. He was trying to get Peter to move from one level of love to the next. He wanted Peter to understand the calling that's on your life. You ain't going to be to do it with the level of love that you operating in. In other words, you shouting next level, but the love you walking in ain't going to handle it. Because the level you on, your love ain't handling it either. So I need to know, Peter, before you go any further, you need to know what you're operating in. So then the Bible said Peter was grieved because he said unto him the third time, lovest thou me? And he said unto him, Lord, thou what? Knowest all things. Thou knowest that I what? That word is filial. He said, you know my love for you, Jesus. He said, I know you know. I don't understand why you're asking me. He said, I'm asking because I want you to know I know. Even though you say I know all things. If you knew I knew all things, then you know why I'm asking you all of this. That's right. Now watch this. Love all things, thou knowest that I love thee. Jesus said unto him, feed my sheep. Watch this now. Watch what this was all about. Boop. If ever I say unto thee, when thou wast young, Peter, thou girdest thyself. Okay. And walk it whither thou, wherever you want to go. Mm-hmm. But when thou shalt be old. He said, now, Peter, when you had your own will, you did what you wanted to do. All right. He said, but Peter, after the day, that's why I want to know, Peter, where your love level at. Because after the day, you don't know. Let me show you what's going to happen, Peter. He said, when you was young, you did your own stuff. Yeah. He said, you wherever you wanted, but when thou shalt be old, thou shalt be stretched forth, thou shalt stretch forth thy hands, and another shall gird thee and carry thee whither thou would not. In other words, he said, Peter, when you get older, they will crucify you, Peter. He said, once you was free to roam, but when you get old, you won't roam no more. Now you need to settle it, Peter. Are you in this for the long haul? You're in this for the fish you caught. Are you truly in this because I'm blessing you, Peter? Are you in this because you love me, Peter? What is your greatest testimony this morning? The car, the house, the truck, the car, the clothes. What is your greatest testimony this morning? Is it that I just love him? is it if he take it all, it'll be all right with me? If he take everything, if he take the job, if everybody walk off and leave me, nobody standing, will you still be there? In other words, Jesus want to know, what is it can make you divide your mind? What is it that can draw your attention from me, Peter? He says, it's going to come a day, Peter, you will be crucified.
Yeah.
Watch this. This spake he signified by what? Death. He should glorify God. And when he had spoken this, he said unto him, follow me. Somebody say, follow me, follow me, follow me. Now, I'm going to close at this point right here. He said, Peter, if you really love me, follow me. Somebody say, if you love him, follow me. Now, he tells Peter, he has this dialogue with him about his love walk, right, Bucky? Now he tells him, Peter, if you come. But it can't be on the basis of the fish.
All right.
It can't be on the basis of the blessings.
Yeah.
It can't be on the basis that everything going right for you.
Yeah.
It's got to be on the basis, Peter, you love me. I'm stressing this today. How much you really love him. And the problem with us today, we don't know how much we love him. Because really, the world we live in and the country we live in, we got checks coming.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
We go Brookshires buy fish.
Uh-oh.
We can go stand on Martin Luther King and get buffalo ribs already clean. We don't have to worry about much, but when it's all said and done, how much you really trust him? He said, Peter, my question is today, when you look at your books and they don't balance, when you look at everything and you got to pay everybody, and it look like you got more people to pay and you got money. When you got more month than you got money. When the bill's this high and your money that low. My question is, what would make you walk away from him? Will you go in and tell them to increase your hours at work, or will you come to church and say, increase my time in prayer? What will it be? Would it be more time in the Word, or more time trying to find something to do to preoccupy the rest I have? What will you do? What will you do in your faith when the bank said, I come to take it all? What will you do when everything seemed like the bottom done fell out of it? And he said, Peter, I need to know, now before you come, Peter, don't go without knowing why you're coming.
That's good.
I never ask people to follow me. I tell them to follow me as I follow Christ. If you see something in my life that you follow me and it don't bother you, don't follow me. Because I don't have time to be wondering, do you love me because you said it with your mouth. Love is displayed when you are uncomfortable, not when you're comfortable. Love is not displayed when everything going in your favor. Love is displayed when you don't even look like somebody paying you no mind. When you're being ignored on every corner, can you still praise it? When nobody tell you done a good job, can you still do what you do? Or are you doing what you're doing because somebody came along and gave you a clap and a hi? I want to know, do you love him today? I want to know, if something happened today, will you keep pushing? Will you keep pressing your way through? I want to know what will happen when everybody say, I'm done with you. Will you be done with everybody, or will you get up and say, I still gonna praise him because he loved me in spite of my faults. He got me in spite of all my failures. I want to know today. Come on, don't change it now, babe. I got one more. I want to show you this. Don't go back. This baby, tell me this. Go to the next verse. I want to show you this. The whole point of this story, I'm getting down to the meat of it. And I'm going to show you what it was all about. I know you saw a lot from the beginning. Then Peter, following Jesus, turned, see a disciple whom Jesus agape.
Come on.
Following, which leaned on his breast at supper. See, Peter could never get that close.
All right.
John did. John was setting the example of the love that we should have. John was in his breast while he was eating. But Peter was too busy looking at what John was doing. Jesus recognized it in the room. Now he's following Jesus. And what was in the room is following Peter. Which leaned, what about? Peter saw that. It irritated him. Because Peter's love for God wasn't on that level. That was too gayish. That's homophobic. Y'all get it tomorrow. That don't look like the culture would deal with that right now. Two men laying in the grass, eating and laying on one chest. We would have a problem with that today. Because our love for each other don't go that deep.
All right. All right.
Now, then Peter turned about, see it, and say, Lord, which is he that betrayed thee? Now, Buckham, I've been sitting here talking about, do you love me? And you want to know who betrayed you.
Come on. Come on. Come on.
Now, did Peter keep his eyes on Jesus? Why are you looking behind you? You can't follow looking both ways.
Come on. Come on. Come on.
You know what's wrong with people? You're trying to follow somebody, listen to somebody else.
That's a problem.
You're trying to follow one person, trying to hear what everybody else got to say about that person.
That's right. That's right.
So if you want to listen to everybody else, then you need to stop following. So now Peter sees this boy, see John way back there following, stealing him do what Jesus God tell him to do. Watch this now. He turns about to look at John and he said, Lord, let me ask you, and say, Lord, is he going to betray thee? Now hold up. How you going to betray Jesus when Jesus done already ascended? So Peter wasn't talking about Jesus.
Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on.
Peter, remember when he denied him and Judas betrayed him, he wanted to know whether or not he was going to betray him.
Come on. Come on. Come on.
See, our problem is we too suspicious of people.
That's true.
If you would keep your eyes on why you came to We Care, you wouldn't worry about who coming in here. The problem with most people is you so busy worrying about who getting close and you ain't close enough. That's your fault. Go lean in his chest if you want to get closer. But if you ain't going to get there, shut up. Well, I don't know why they talk to him. That's your fault. Ain't you got a phone? You call everybody else.
No.
Why everybody talk to Brother Kent? Because ain't you got a phone?
No.
Why everybody talk about ain't you got a phone? It's amazing we ask dumb questions, you got a phone. When you can't get close, then you nosy.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
He said, which he betrayed thee? Come on. Watch this now. Jesus said unto him, hey, fella. Hey, fella. Let me help you right now. If I will that he tarry till I come, what is that to do? In other words, Jesus said that, let me tell you something, Peter. You follow me. You need to leave my business alone.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
It's too many of us getting in the business of everybody else and ain't taking care of yours at all. Why in the world you worrying about who following me? See, that was me and John discussion. John said he wanted to follow me. You said you following me. Now why is it bothering you? Because John is following you, following me. Because you know somewhere in the middle there, that's you.
That's right.
And you know your motive ain't right. So you think John going to betray you. But how can he betray you if you love God?
Come on here.
You get all of them. You get them all. He said, what it is to you, John? Why are you worrying about that? Look what he tell you. Follow thou me, Peter. Quit worrying about John. You can't clean this church up worrying about everybody else. We got too many people doing stuff, need to go sit down and leave it alone.
Yeah.
Because you're worrying about all the wrong things. Well, I wonder who's going to preach tomorrow. Just listen. Quit worrying about who preaching and hear who preach.
That's right.
It's like we all, see, when it's condition based, we always trying to figure out before we get there who going to be where. Matter of fact, I was listening to Noah Jones preach one Sunday, and they'll drive up on the parking lot and say, "If no Bishop going to be there today?" They say no. They drive right off the parking lot. Well, if Bishop the only one you going to listen to, you ain't got no business going to that church. Y'all better hear me up in here. If you go to a church and somebody that's preaching, you just need to go hear a word from God. Because sometimes the person that you might want to get a word from, you may not get it. But there's somebody that might have a word for you. It may not come like you like it. It may not come in the message you want it. But I guarantee you, if you come with the love of God to receive, you'll be blessed every time, says the Lord. Then went this saying abroad with the brothers and watch, let me show you how people get things all twisted. Then this saying went abroad among the brothers that disciples should not die. Yet Jesus said, not unto them, he shall not die, but if I will that, he tarry till I come. In other words, he said, what business is it yours? What business is of yours if I let him off and don't let you off? Why is it bothering you because somebody else got time off and you still got to come?
No.
See, we think we know what's best, so when things don't go right, we don't realize we miss our blessings because we ain't really following God. We following principles.
Yeah.
They wasn't following principles, they was following person. See, sometimes our principles won't let us follow no people. Because our principles so strict, they won't let us follow nobody, not even ourselves. And he said, what it is to you? What is it to if he do? This is the disciple which testified. Now watch this. Of these things, and wrote these things, and we know that these things, his testimonies is true. So he's talking about John. See, John was in the picture all the time. John tells Jesus who he is. Peter jumps out the boat and runs. He runs straight to the bank. And he hurry up and get there. Yeah. Now, how you want to look around and want to know if John the one going to betray? If John the one telling you Jesus, what motive would he have to betray? That's right. Why would he betray Jesus? Because this is what Peter asking. Is this the one that betrayed you? I don't care who betrayed me. I really don't care who talk about us. Yeah. My question is, what I want you to remember is, if you ain't talking about me, you got to talk about somebody. All right. So why not me? Okay. Because I love it, me. But the problem with us, somebody can say something, we jump all in on. God say something, we don't jump at all. Yeah. I want to encourage you with this message this morning. I wish I wouldn't be long with you. Listen to me. Please. Don't confuse your love for God through performance. Don't let your performance be what keep you focused. Because if it is, as soon as somebody come that outdo you, you're going to get angry. As soon as somebody come that can play better, sing better, the first thing you're going to say, well, I was doing it and they took me down. No, they didn't take you down. What they was doing is see how God could elevate you. But just because you made the statement, God can't elevate you anyway. Because see, your performers need approval. But your love don't. Your love just act this way straight on. Love says this, if that's the one, let me follow. See, love don't look for fault in people. Love look, how do they reach the people that they think got fault? People, if we're not willing to reach people, we're not willing to forgive people, and we're not willing to reach out further than everybody else, then what makes us different? We're living in a time that God love has to be the epic center of our hearts. I read too many articles this week of suicide. Young people dying because they don't feel they fit any longer. I read an article, young people playing this game. They play this game called getting as close as you can to death. And they take a picture. And a couple of kids did it and fell to their death. What are you saying, preacher? I'm saying people looking for love. All in the wrong places. We want photo ops now. Who can do the most dangerous thing? It's time for the church to do the most dangerous thing. Go outside of your boundaries this week. Reach somebody and say, listen, I don't know what you're going through, but I know what God can do for you. I just want you to know God loves you. In my closing, my best friend, Bishop brother. And parents, this is for you. I'm not saying your children do it all right. But I'm saying this. You need to love them. Success in the pulpit, success in the church don't mean nothing when success is not at home. John get a call one day, and his daughter had walked off a building. Grew up in church. How many more got to die before we realize we don't hope to work out? I've did a lot of things in my lifetime. But one of the greatest things ever happened to me, somebody saw something in me that I could not see in myself. And they loved me. I was still in the clubs. They loved me. I was still at Adrian. They loved me. I was still drinking. They loved me. I was still chasing women. They loved me. And they loved me so much that one day everything I was doing, I lost feeling for it. And I started to hunger for the love that they kept showing me. And I knew it was God calling me to him. And I'm so grateful that I met somebody that didn't judge me, but just loved me right on me to the kingdom. Aren't you glad today? And somebody looked at you and said, you know what? I see me in you. I just want to love you. You may be angry, you may be bitter. Your children may be angry, may be bitter. You may not understand, but we're living in a time where you may not understand everything, but you do understand this. If God can love you, how come he can't love them? And the only thing between you and them is not God, it's you. Because God ain't coming down here. He need you and I to go and reach a generation that's hurting. And that's my prayer today, that we would reach outside of ourselves and touch somebody. Easter's drawing near. And as we draw closer to this time of the year, remind me all that he went through just to save mankind. I thank you all this morning. My heart is hurting. Everything in me cries for this generation. I ask you to help me. I ask you to stand with me as we pray for our generation. That God will save them